Hey beautiful soul, I'm Jessica Go, trauma coach in childhood relationship and emotional abuse. Should you have sex while you're on your healing journey? And so there's a lot of conflicting messages going around in the self-development industry where you have sex and relationship coaches that are giving one message saying that if your shadow self, which is your darker aspects of you, and there's nothing wrong with your shadow self, by the way. We do need our shadow, our lower self, to show us how can we evolve and ascend into our highest self, into our light. It's also needed because we live in a 3D reality where we are striving for things outside of ourselves to achieve this and experience this and get this. You know, things like having a physical home, for example. Yes, that's important that we do have a shelter of our heads. Yes, that's important. And then it can go to extremes where you have a need to seek validation and approval from others by engaging in sex and relationships with random people that you don't really know that well, right? So that's the extreme. And then you've got the balanced side of the shadow self. And so the messages that I'm hearing is that, you know, if your shadow self wants a threesome, if your shadow self wants sex, then ask for it. And so here's the problem with this, especially if you're on your healing journey. The question that I pose to you is, what sort of energy are you feeding off if you were to have sex with a stranger, or to just have junk food sex in your relationship, or to engage with hookers and porn, right? And so a lot of people would say, oh, I'm getting pleasure out of it, right? It makes me feel good, right? And so it gives them some form of release or relief. And here's the thing, it's not fulfilling at all, because there's a lot of programming behind one night stands, the fantasy of having a fling that you see in movies or TV shows, or watching porn, whether it's on the internet or looking at a porn magazine. There's a lot of distorted messages that's being emitted through those outlets. And what it does, it programs you to rape consciousness. And that's by saying, I'm open to having sex with anyone, and it's all about me and my genital, and receiving pleasure in what way or form that I can get it. So just notice how you're feeding into a really dark part of yourself. And so the next question is that truly serving you on your healing journey ahead? Is feeding, constant pleasure and getting those highs, and, looking for a quick fix for some form of relief because you can't manage your anxiety, you can't manage your childhood woundings of rejection, or whatever it is for you, right? Is that really sustainable for you and your healing journey ahead and your evolution as a heart and soul and a beautiful human being? And so the flip side that I'm hearing with self-development industry is that I'm hearing messages from highly conscious leaders, particularly coupled conscious leaders. And the messages that they give out is that, if you were to have sex with anyone, you are splitting an energy out of your own being. And what that means is that you're giving a part of yourself away to someone that you don't know, or to someone who could be toxic and negative in a relationship. And so they're feeding off your energy. And so what happens is, you might feel scattered, distracted, you might become obsessed with that person you had sex with because you've actually given away your own energy. Another thing is that you're not completely whole if you just have sex with random people, right? And so they talk about practicing celibacy as a way to, allow yourself to anchor in your divinity and sovereignty in your healing journey ahead until you find that sacred container, that sacred relationship with your beloved, with your soulmate, right? And so here's my take on this. My take on this is that, if we don't heal our childhood traumas, we act out in ways that doesn't really align with our higher self. It doesn't serve us in a way that's going to support the healing that we need in order for us to feel whole and complete from the inside out. And so what happens is when people don't heal their childhood traumas, they constantly attract toxic relationships, toxic people into their lives because that's the energy that they're giving out. And so guess what? You're going to engage in, toxic sex, junk food sex, engaging in sexual activities such as watching porn, that programs rape consciousness into your mind, that is so sickening and diminishing of the soul. And I can definitely share my personal experiences on this, where I had a dad who had a sex addiction, and he would go to brothels, he would have porn magazines lying in his office, in his computer, and then I found him recording him having sex with a hooker on his phone and condoms in his trousers while I was pulling out the laundry as a teenager. And so when I flicked through the porn magazine, first time I've ever seen a porn magazine at the age of 16, it disgusted and shamed myself as a female to see what sort of images that they're putting out there in the porn magazine. And what I saw a woman's body, and the head was replaced with a little girl, and that sickened me. And again, as I've mentioned before, that is programming rape consciousness. So if you truly want to break free, from toxicity in any form of your life, particularly when it comes to relationships and sex, cut off from the programming of rape consciousness of the porn industry. Cut off from engaging with people who you seek pleasure with but isn't giving you love and fulfillment in your true essence of who you are. And so just to share with you a little bit more about my personal experiences with this, I went from one relationship to another, and I didn't give myself sufficient time to recover and heal and recalibrate from each relationship. And so what happens was that another guy would show up into my life and I would engage in that guy. I would feel this strong pull to engage with them. Not only just on an emotional level, but also on a physical and sexual level as well. Because the little girl inside of me is so wounded, who's carrying onto a lot of pain, and she feels she's diminished and depleted from the previous relationship. So what she does is that she's looking for the next man to feed her with love and fulfillment. And what happens is I got caught up in a vicious cycle where I went from one man to another, and it never worked out very well. It's always about having sex and just spending some time with them, but it never really relate to result into a heartfelt, meaningful, fulfilling relationship. And so on this path that I am right now, knowing the insights and the experiences as to why I was caught up stuck in the right situations when it comes to sex with toxic men, is that because I didn't choose to engage in celibacy within myself, to engage with the deep healing that I needed to be whole and sovereign in my being, so I can attract and magnetize a beloved, a beautiful soulmate, to truly reflect high qualities and aspects of myself, and not just my lower self, my shadow self, my ego. And so I'm on this path right now where this is the first time ever in my life where I haven't engaged with any men at all since my last breakup. And it's been a few months now, and I'm really proud of that, because it has given me some time and space to purge out the pain from the previous relationship and the previous engagements with men in the past, so I can clear as much as toxicity that I can, and entanglement with the distorted views that I had about men and sex and relationships, so I can anchor in this beautiful embodiment of my own sovereignty, and to give myself as much time and space as I can before I meet the next beautiful person in my life. And here's the thing, I have no attachment to attracting and magnetizing my beloved, because I trust through divine flow that he will come to me at the right time when I'm 110% ready. And so I'm not chasing for it anymore. I'm feeling super comfortable enjoying my own company and spending quality time, reflective time with myself, to truly be a beautiful, divine and sovereign being. I really hope this serves you, and I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you will love to receive the latest content on my channel, and feel free to share this with your beloveds in your social circle who would truly is in need of this information right now. And I would love for you to comment just below what's your one biggest takeaway that you got from this video blog. Blessings to you, and take care.